So Chelsea are 8 points clear at the current moment in time. Jason Rubin with me here, and we want to discuss who has got the best possible chance of catching them, whilst looking into the possibility that they may be able to have a winning margin if no one is able to close it. Very similar to some of the best we've seen since the Premier League officially became the Premier League, and that was before it was the First Division, once you're dating way back in history.
I had a bipolar reaction to doing this story. I have both the historical sense of how big of a winning margin there's been in the past, and then I'm going like, but let's see who can catch them.
Well, of course,
because we don't know which way it's going to go. So
you want to believe that it's going to be a tighter Premier League race than what we have seen in the past, and we will reference some of those, especially most of which were during Manchester United's dominant era, where they were winning Premier Leagues pretty comfortably.
Baggy shirts were a thing.
That was very baggy.
Baggy shirts. Now it's as tight as you can get.
The tighter the better. Imagine Beckham used to wear shirts like that. He was already a sex symbol back then. Imagine you put him current day and age with a tight shirt.
I think one club just for like whole city bring it back.
The baggy shirts?
Just bring out the baggy parachute shirts.
Probably someone being like, well, they won't be as aerodynamic, so they won't be as quick around the field. But
was sleeve considered handball? Like if it
I think it is.
If it was hanging a little bit, no.
Like back then, you didn't have any sort of means of technology that we have right now, where people are zooming in and trying to find replays, goal line technology. So I assume they probably give them the benefit of the doubt if their sleeve ruffled a little
Sleeve
bit.
ball.
But let's take a quick look really quick at some of the past Premier League victories in terms of who had the biggest margin. So the number one is Manchester United in the 1999-2000 season, and they had a 18-point advantage. And this is one where Manchester United were going through some of their most dominant eras. This is a side that was blessed with what was called the class of 92, where they had Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Nicky Butt, Ryan Giggs, Gary Neville. Did you laugh at the name Nicky Butt?
Yeah,
did you laugh at the name Nicky Butt?
I did. There's going to be a guy drafted pretty high up this year, maybe like a top 3 overall pick in the NFL named Jake Butt.
Did you laugh at that name?
Yes, I did.
Easy humour around here, TOT
I
Sports.
keep it very real.
All right, and if you go back to the list really quick, just to look at some of the other examples which we're referencing. Chelsea, 12 points, 2004-2005. Jose Mourinho working his magic. Yeah, it was the start of Drogba's reign. He had 16 goals, I believe, that year. I think he had 12 Premier League goals. And by I mean it's right here on the screen, so I'm absolutely right. So, that was when Chelsea was starting to become the Chelsea that everyone wanted them to be. And by everyone, I mean the fans that were happy that they came into the dough and all the money.
That's right. Roman Abramovich.
Roman Abramovich, yes, sir. The Russian billionaire who took Chelsea from being a mediocre mid-level team to, at one point, the most dominant team, and soon to be potentially the most dominant team in the Premier League again. So, last time to throw to the graphic, Jason, I want to see really, Jacori, sorry, so I want to see the last two that we have there. So, Arsenal's
the same Manchester United team.
2003, 2004 is the same as Manchester United's 2012, 2013, and of course, Manchester United 10 points, the same in 92 and in 2000.
Fergie time, Manchester United? Am I asking ridiculous? Questions still?
This is all Fergie time.
See, it's fun. I missed all of Fergie time. It's a time where I really wasn't watching too much world football. I love Van Gaal time.
Louis Van Gaal time was the time.
I don't think it's got as much of a ring.
No, it's not as it doesn't roll off the tongue as much, because there was no such thing as Van Gaal time. The only Van Gaal time we know of is when he would be theatrically displaying how people would dive. Always going to be one of the best memes, I think, in Premier League history. So the reason why the Chelsea team that has to be brought up is I feel like they won the Premier League in that season. It was one of their best victory margins. That was the season they went undefeated. They were just unbeatable. Obviously, they were unbeatable, but they just had a system in place that was so quickly introduced by Jose Mourinho that you can only admire something like that and relate it to the way Antonio Conte is setting up his team. Aesthetically going forward, they're dominant at times, but they're also so structured at the back. Even when they go with three at the back, which was don't ever try three at the back in the Premier League,
every time
Jason.
I hear someone say don't ever try three in the back in the Premier League, don't ever try three in the back anywhere, it seems like a lot of teams have been very successful playing three in the back. Antonio Conte has been playing three in the back since he was probably 10 years old, and he's been doing an amazing job at it.
Yes, very much so. So it's very similar traits. These big margins were talented teams good understanding between management, and of course, you've got some star players in there that are always going to stand out. But this Chelsea team this year, they've got star players, but I feel like together, united, they're a very hard team to break down. So Jason, really quick, the team. Well, let's look at the Premier League table, and we're going to have to pose the question as who is most likely to catch them. So emerging from the pack when they will seem to be down and out was Manchester City. Now they seem to be pushing the envelope again and asking some questions of Chelsea. 8 points doesn't seem that much, but with only 13 games left in the season, that's a lot of points that Chelsea have to drop.
Here's what's crazy. That's why I bring up the context for the largest Premier League winning title campaigns. 8 points doesn't seem like that much, right? But one turn of events, for example, if Chelsea picks up a win this weekend and Manchester City doesn't, well, then it's 11 points, which would put them amongst the 5 greatest winning margins of all time.
Yes.
So 8 points is not insurmountable, but like we've talked about with La Liga, it's not just so much that Manchester City or Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, or Manchester United have to play spotless through the rest of the 13 games. Chelsea has to slip.
Yeah.
So if Chelsea slips, and also who has Chelsea down the line is the next big question.
I was just going to...
You're saying it's like Crystal Palace.
No, that's a few weeks away. I'm skipping ahead on this one. If you are ever looking at a team that has the rough of the green when it comes to the Premier League fixtures, look at Manchester City's fixtures stemming from the 19th of March through to April 5th. 3 consecutive Premier League games. They host Liverpool, they travel to Arsenal, they travel to Chelsea. 3 games back.
Well, so here's what's... Okay, so I actually think that... it could go very poorly, obviously, but that third match is against Chelsea, and if they pick up points, 3 points and 3.6 points against the Liverpool and the Arsenal.
They're going to be flying in confidence.
And if they can go in and beat Chelsea, that's how they gain ground. But if they drop, they have to get at least 4 points from those 2 games, Arsenal and Liverpool, if they want any chance. And I don't want to count Tottenham out just yet, but it seems insurmountable for them to come back 10 points. And Manchester United's biggest goal for this season is to finish top 4. It's not to win the Premier League.
Because it wasn't just Tottenham's loss recently to Liverpool. It was their...
How they lost.
Yeah, it was the lackluster effort that they had to grab an essential 3 points when Chelsea had dropped points to re-emerge as the front runners to catch Chelsea, and up against a team that on paper they have, I think, a better squad than, but another top 4, top 5 contender, and they just fell by the wayside. And a lot of Tottenham fans are probably left disheartened. Yeah, they're not out of it by any means. They're still going to be able to put up a challenge. It's just it's already a mountainous task, and now that it's made even more so. It's like you're running up a mountain now, already with ankle weights and some idiot behind you pulling you with a rope, and now you need to carry Rikishi on your back.
It sounds like a really brutal hill workout.
Yeah,
seems like something that the Mountain does from Game of Thrones.
It's like a CrossFit workout, so it's pretty tough. So there you have it. Those are some of the best title-winning margins since the Premier League.
And Man City's got... Are we agreeing here? The only one with a chance? Man City?
After what just happened with Arsenal, I worry for the turn of events. One last look at the Premier League table, and I'll give you the kind of the bold
Any
assumption.
Crazy Liverpool, Man United. I mean, there's really only 5 teams, 5 clubs who stand a chance. You can't sit here and tell me that West Brom is going to make the most insurmountable 13-game push to get to Chelsea. Yeah. But based on the numbers,
based on fixture lists, it's all going to come down. It's all going to come down to whether Manchester City can weather that really harsh sequence of fixtures, because Chelsea don't have Europe. Manchester City also need to throw Monaco in there a couple of times.
Oh.
So I think that they have, and this was an Arsene Wenger excuse, which wasn't an excuse at that point, but it is a valid excuse when it comes to maybe Manchester City just becoming overwhelmed by too many fixtures, and that doesn't make them exempt from criticism. They deserve criticism as well for having it be this much of a gap already.
I'm getting you a Arsene Wenger piece, and you're going to do Arsene Wenger excuse press conferences.
He has had the most excuses throughout his career. Always other teams were too physical. Always other teams were not playing the game the way it should be played. Like, as if he was the man who wrote football
the schedule,
into the dictionary.
I like when he goes like, well, we have Champions League.
Yeah, he said that when they lost to Chelsea.
In the middle of the week.
Chelsea hadn't played a Champions League fixture in 3 weeks. So I'm pretty sure if they weren't prepared then, they would never have been prepared.
He could use, I've inherited this mess.
Yes, of course.
That's what he could say.
David Moyes was my predecessor, and he caused me problems. So let us know what you think in the comments. Who is the most likely team to catch the Blues, who are leading at the top of the Premier League table? As always, we love your guys' continued support. So subscribe, Twitter, Francis_Maxwell, Jason Rubin 91, and we'll see you guys soon.